Yes, 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 yes. The dawn in the building. You know what I mean? It's Monday. I tell you, you're welcome everybody onto this show anywhere you're watching from. This is One ISTV. I'm telling you, the dawn in the building. It's all about this game, English Premier League. Right there, right now, the game 35, the review, the live. Right now, I'm welcoming this great gentleman all the way from my Nigeria, my country. Rob, you're in the building. What's going on, bro? You're welcome to the show.
Good dawn. Good evening. Good evening from Nigeria. Good to be back on the show on the game review. We had lots of games this weekend, and let's get into it. Let's review the game.
All right, let's get into it. If you're watching this for the first time, I tell you, this is One ISTV. We all about sport right here. We're looking at this Premier League that been played all over the weekend in English Premier League. The review of Game 35. Prof, Otolo. I think at this point, the race goes on, and at this moment, can we say Liverpool out of it? Look at the graphs there.
Yeah.
They should forget about it.
I mean, look, it has actually gone a different turn. The title race, we didn't expect some dropped points from Liverpool. I think pretty much we knew that Arsenal and City would be there or thereabouts, but Liverpool now are now 5 points adrift of Arsenal, who are the league leaders now. So we can say, for me, with 3 games to go, I can effectively say they're out of the title race. I mean, in football, anything can happen, but I think you would expect that Arsenal would not drop. Will not lose 2 games for Liverpool to be able to catch up the 5 points deficit. So I think Liverpool are totally out of this title race as far as I'm concerned.
All right, as far as you're concerned, me myself too, I think they should forget about it. Please drop your comment if you think Liverpool should forget about it or they are still in title race. Drop your comment. Looking at the result over the weekend, we saw how Liverpool, after leading 2-1, and West Ham were back into the game to make sure the game ended in 2-2. What's your thoughts on that game? West Ham 2.
And yeah, it was another underwhelming performance from Liverpool.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I mean, you're going into this game knowing that your season pretty much depends on this game. And for them to go there and drop another 2 points was very, very underwhelming. West Ham, I think, took the lead through Antonio, and then Alexander-Arnold replied. Was it Arnold? No, I can't remember the scorers in this game, but
I think Gakpo scored in that game.
Yeah. I'll just quickly check. But then, by the time West Ham already got back into the game, it was difficult for Liverpool to do anything. And then we saw the clash between between
Klopp.
And Salah as well on the
touchline.
It was I think what Salah was possibly saying was quickly. I think the goal came from Bowen at first with a header, and then Robertson equalized. And then Antonio went into with another header, and there was an own goal by Alfonso Areola. So that's how the game ended 2-2. And then the notable things that happened in that game was the manager breasted Mo Salah, and Darwin Núñez, as he has been doing lately in games, because the games that those two have started recently, they've been underperforming. So he took them to the bench, and then we saw him bringing on Salah at the 79th minute, at the 80th minute, 10 minutes of normal time to go. And we could see that there was a little altercation between both of them on the touchline. I suppose that Salah was possibly angry that is coming in so late.
So obviously, why you give me now?
Exactly. A player of that magnitude, they don't like to be benched. He's obviously a Liverpool legend. He's done so much for that football club, and this is the time that they possibly need their best players. But Klopp had to make the difficult decisions by resting him, by benching him. Sorry, because he hasn't been performing it ever since he came back from the African Nations Cup. He hasn't been doing well, so he had to be bold. And then I think Salah obviously didn't take that lightly, and there was a little argument on the touchline. And we heard after the match as well when Klopp said they had settled it at the dressing room, and then they asked Salah. And Salah said if he spoke, that they'll be fired. So there's something obviously not going on well within these players. I think the fact that they've dropped points lately has gotten to them. I think there's a friction, between the manager and some of these players, and it's really normal that maybe these things are happening because everybody's on the edge. It's club's last last season in the Premier League. They possibly planned a huge open bus parade and farewell tour, and they said they even said they were doing a documentary to
Just
the end of
forget
this.
about it.
So yeah, so when you've planned so much, and and it's not going your way, I think you again have people who are touchy. You have manager who is very touchy. He couldn't
Mm,
even reply possibly in the properly in the press conference. Jurgen Klopp, he doesn't
mm.
like to lose. And then you have players like Mosala, big players who are reacting the way they are reacting. So we can confidently say things are falling apart for Liverpool right now, and it's such a shame, But they must just take it on the chin and move on. They already have another manager and a slot
Mm.
from against next season. So I think what they should try and do is just try and finish the season on a high as much as possible, because I think that manager, the club deserves at least he deserves it. They should play these last games for the manager and for the bad. Just send the fans away on a high, send your club away for, because if they keep losing, it's such a bad. I think
But
it's just gonna. It's going to be so gloomy. Just imagine they lose the last 3 games. It's not the right way for a manager to leave the football club. So I think they should pick up what is left of the season and win the remaining games and try and finish on the high.
all right, all right. Talking about still on game 35, Fulham drew with Crystal Palace 1-1, and also
Yeah.
Manchester United against Burnley was also shambolic display from Manchester United. But don't
Yeah.
talk too much on Manchester United. All right, on Fulham and Crystal Palace 1-1,
Yes. Yes.
massive
I
game.
mean, yeah, it was a close game. The Romunians took the lead for Fulham in the
Fulham.
52nd minute. Yeah, and then at the 7th minute we saw a thunderbolt by Jeffrey Schlupp. It was I think it's going to be one of the goals of the season as far as I'm concerned. It was a
Oh,
thunderbolt for Schlupp. He sat on the half volley and he took the strike on. I think no keeper in the world would get close to that shot. So Crystal Palace have been doing very well since this manager came in.
yeah, yeah.
They've been in great form. I think in their last 5 games, they have I think they've not lost in their last 5 games. Crystal Palace, so far. So they've not lost in their last 45 games, and I think they're taking on a Man United next.
Next.
So yeah, so that's not good for Man United because they'll be playing at home. Palace. So for me, it's a very, very they're having a good manager bounce there. The manager has taken to the club very well, and I'm sure we'll see more of them next season.
Then moving on to Manchester United Burnley, the game
Yeah.
ended 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1. We saw a goal from Anthony at the
Yeah,
79th minute. I think it was a pass from not sure who gave him the pass, but then he went on and he looked as if he was falling off, but he tucked it to the bottom corner of the goalkeeper, and then we saw a rush of blood, to the head from the goalkeeper Andre Onana, who came
yeah,
out and clattered into the Burnley attacker, and there was no way. Once that went to VAR, there was no way they would soon be given for a penalty. And
yeah.
we saw Amdoni, the Burnley player, slot it into the right corner post. So I think it's another underwhelming performance from Man United because you're playing Burnley, a team that would be relegated at Old Trafford. You're still fighting for the European positions. I expect that they will do well, but the manager has come out, Eric Ten Hag, and he has said that he doesn't have his players fit. He's been complaining about injuries, about the fact that he doesn't have a steady team to put out there, and then even if he has a steady team, at best, the club can fight for top four. And that has raised eyebrows because some Man United fans have been speaking that this is a huge team, one of in fact, the biggest team in England, should not be just fighting for top four. They should be going for the title. Haven't spent so much money and all that. So it's yet to be seen what will happen with Eric Ten Hag. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? We don't know yet. Maybe what will happen with him next season. But
Mm,
again, the underwhelming performances continue in Manchester United.
it's crazy. There's another bounce from Newcastle 5-1 over Sheffield United.
Yeah, I mean they dismantled Sheffield United apart. I
Absolutely.
mean it was a shock early lead by Sheffield
Yeah,
United
they scored first.
in the 50 minutes. Yeah, they scored first, but trust United. I think they just woke up the tiger, the sleeping tiger, and then they stood up Newcastle and dismantled them with 5 goals. Goals from Isak, Gumares, and even Wilson. Callum Wilson, who just came back from injury, came in his second minute and slotted in his own goal. So it was a 5-1 win against Sheffield United to put them
United.
firmly, yeah, to put Newcastle firmly in seventh, and they're putting pressure on Man United. They're 1 point away from Man United now, so
Yeah.
it's getting very tight there for the European Conference League positions.
Well, moving on to Wolves. Wolves beat Luton in that game. Wolves played so well.
Yeah.
That was a cracking game. What do you want to say about that game? Wolves
Yeah, I mean, 2-1 winners. The Wolves, they had their key men back. I've always said that when Wolves have the likes of Wang and
won
Matheus Cunha up front, they are very, very dynamic.
very
They walk the back four, so they always stand a better chance to win a game with those two up front. They've been absent for a while in recent weeks because of injury. They are back and they are back on the score sheet. So it was a great game by Wolves. They keep winning, they keep doing their work. I think the manager is clearly underrated. I'm talking about Gary O'Neill, the
Gary
Wolves
O'Neill.
manager. Let's not forget he took Bournemouth. He made Bournemouth survive last season. Did a great job with Bournemouth, and he was sacked. It was a shocking news when he got sacked. But he has taken this Wolves side, who lost a lot. Let's not forget, who lost lots of players because of
Yes.
FFP. They had to sell the likes of Ruben Neves, Joao Mutillo, and some other players because of FFP, likes of Adama Traore. And we thought they were going to relegate, but this manager has done an incredible job, Gary O'Neill, with them. And currently now Wolves are standing in the 11th position. They are safe
Yeah.
already. Yeah, so
So
great job by the Wolves manager there.
yeah, moving on to Everton. Everton uh beat Brentford over the weekend.
Yes,
That's
that was the game that
that
to
was the
determine
game.
if Everton was going to stay in
Go
the
to
Premier
state.
League,
Yeah.
and they did the job. It was a very professional job. Their defense must be commended. James Tarkowski and Brandwith, they've been very solid for Everton. The fact that they not considered, apart from the Chelsea game, which was a blip as far as I'm concerned, the 6-0 win. You never see Sean Dyche's side concede that much goals. So for me, it was a blip. But then they go back to type where they defend, very very rigidly, and they try and hit you either with a set piece or a counter attack. And that was what they did in this game. It was a counter attack, and it is Idris Gueye, who has scored in back-to-back games now, won it for them 1-0, and they are now above Brentford, and they are completely safe
Yeah.
from relegation this season.
From
So
relegation.
let's not forget that they had 6 point docked from them,
Wow, that's
for
another wow, that you're right.
FFP issues. Yes, so for them to achieve this with 6 points, I think you can say that the manager has done a great job with them. Because if they had their 6 points, um, 8 points.
Added to
Sorry, I keep saying
is it
6 points. They
6
were
or 8?
deducted
Is it
eight. It was
8?
6 plus 2, eight
Yeah.
points. So if they had their 8 points with the 36 now, I think they will be in 44, and they will be level on points with Brighton in 12th position. So that
Proposition.
shows that how much,
Wow.
yeah,
That was resilient.
that's an improvement on last season. So yeah, it's a
Mm.
good job by the Everton manager.
Now moving on to your game, Chelsea traveling all the way to Aston Villa. That was 2-2. Uh
Yes, I
Callaghan's
mean,
scoring at the end. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what's your take on that game? Aston
It,
Villa,
what
Chelsea
it
2.
was a very very weird game in terms because in the fact that Chelsea started that game very well. They
Yeah,
had the
fantastic.
stats of the game showed that Chelsea had about 75% possession and 21 shots in that game compared to Aston Villa's 9. And this is a Villa side that we all know are very very strong at home, and they're having a better season than Chelsea. So Chelsea went there and actually did very well, like I said. But then they found themselves down. It was an own goal by Mark Corella in the fourth minute, and and then Chelsea were looking all over the place because yes, they were stringing passes together, they were playing well, but they were making mistakes at the back. And then Rogers in the 42nd minute did put in another goal which made it 2-0. And at that point, I was like, what is this? How
Hmm.
so much bad luck can affect one team because you play well and then you go 2 goals down, and but then second half, Mauricio Pochettino did some tactical changes which I commend him for. He took Marco Pirella from left back, and made him inverted into the midfield. He inverted him into the midfield and made
Oh
the wingers
yes,
stay
yes.
high and wide. So
Hmm.
Mikhailo Modric was high and wide, Noni Madueke was high and wide, and he tucked in Cucurella. And I think once he did that, the Villa players did not know. They became the Chelsea players overloaded them in the middle of the park, and they didn't know who to mark anymore, and that created spaces for Chelsea wide, and that was how Chelsea got back into the game. Madueke scored the first for Chelsea at the 63rd minute, and then at the 81st minute it was a coiler from Gallagher at the edge of the box, and then there was it was a dramatic end to the game.
To the game.
Uh,
I saw it.
Badeshile, well, according to Chelsea fans, they will tell you got the ball fair and square from
Mm.
Diego Carlos with a
Mm.
little shot, uh, and then there was a cross in the box, and Axel Disasi put the ball into the net, and then that's really, it sparked an outrage from the
Mm.
Villa players, and the referee in the VAR room also, called that the ref on the pitch goes to check the VAR screen, and when indeed he saw the badge from Badeshile and disallowed the goal. So that same goal was given in an Arsenal Newcastle
And
game
that's
earlier this season,
yeah.
where Gabriel had his two hands on where Jolinton had his two hands on Gabriel and nodded the
Gabriel.
ball in, and the goal was given. So I wonder, this is the inconsistency that we talk about in VAR. But all in all, I commend Chelsea for not laying down to die and having the fight to come back to the game to
Sure.
draw to get the point from the game. So well, it was a balanced game in total.
All right, moving on to Sunday. You have to tell me what is wrong with Brighton. They were beaten by Bournemouth away to Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, yeah.
What is wrong with that side? Sometimes
I
it's
mean,
fantastic, sometimes
yeah.
it's
It's
just
it
crazy.
for me.
Is that
It's been a serious up and down season for Brighton, and the
Brighton?
fact that the Zerbi
Uh-uh.
always makes a lot of change for me. It just doesn't just make me know where to place him as a manager. He's never consistent with his lineup. So I wonder, when you're not consistent with your lineup, how do these players build um, relationships all over the pitch, which is very important. Your left back has to have a good relationship with the centre back, and also his winger in front of him. The striker has to have a good relationship with the midfielder. So you have to have a consistent 11 for you to build
Mm.
a chemistry in the team. And this is something that has been highly criticized by this is something that people have highly criticized uh,
About
Zerbi
design.
for, the fact that he changes his starting 11 a lot. And
Absolutely.
sometimes, if you I think he believes in the style of play than the players actually playing it. This is a philosophy. This is his philosophy. He believes that no matter the player, should be able to fit in into his style of play, the passing style and all that. And yes, they do play the passing style, but it's all well and good when you're playing, but when you're not getting the goals, which is the most uh important start of the game. So I'm going to read out this to you now. The
All right.
expected the ball possession for that game: Brighton had 70% possession, Bournemouth had 30%. But guess what?
Mm.
Bournemouth had more XG, which is 2.3, and Brighton had just one. So you cannot just keep passing the ball and passing the ball for the sake of it. Bournemouth were very clinical. They had 15 shots and 6 on target. Brighton had just one on target. So it's not
Can you
just this
imagine?
should teach a lot of people lessons. It's not just about passing the ball. Possession is not football. It's about what you do with the ball, and that is what the Bournemouth manager has done. Iraola has taught us in this match that you
Yeah.
can have the ball all you want, but when I have it, I would go for the kill,
I'll go
and
for
that's what
yeah.
we did. And they did, and they ran out three goals winners. So I think they've had a great season. Bournemouth, a very fantastic. They are playing Arsenal next, I think so.
Yeah.
We'll see what they can bring to the title party. If they are going to spoil the party, who knows? We'll wait for them.
All right, moving on to this one. That was a good game for Arsenal. They won 3-2. First half was 3-0. Wow. What
Yes,
do you have to say
yes.
on that one? Spurs losing to Arsenal at home. We all thought it's
I
going to
mean,
be to end, but well, the first half was
the,
just 3-0. It was
yes.
surprising.
It was shocking, the kind of start that Spurs had, because we all before the game started, I knew that the Spurs might face a problem because of the high line. The high line they play, and this
It's
manager,
crazy.
he wouldn't change. But
Yeah.
when I saw the lineup and I saw that he brought out, instead of, because normally he uses Bissouma and Pablo Matassa in the defensive midfield, but he took them out and brought in Hoiberg and Bentancur. So I thought maybe he wanted to go a little bit defensive, because these are more matured players that are more defensive minded players. So I thought, okay, this manager has learned, and he possibly wants to be a little bit defensive. But when the
Mm.
game started, the pattern of play, actually Spurs did not play too badly when you look at the
Yeah.
the stats, because Spurs had 62% possession. They had expected goals of 2.2, which means they should have scored more than Arsenal, who had just one. And then they had 14 goals attempts, 14 shots. So the stats are in Tottenham's favor. They played well, but the problem is they made mistakes. The first goal was a mistake by Højbjerg,
It's
just
Back.
from a cross from. Yeah, it was a mistake by Højbjerg. The other one was a counter attack from the high line where Havertz picked up the ball and Saka had all acres of space to run into, and he pinged it over the top, and Saka had one-on-one with Davies. So things like that made Spurs lose the game. But
Yeah.
credit to them, they tried to come back. They fought in second half, got 2 goals back. The referee, I must say, on the day, Michael Oliver, was shambolic. I mean, I
Absolutely.
always thought he was one of the best referees in England. Not anymore. He's now a shadow of himself as a referee. The fact that I couldn't see that penalty in real time, and the penalty had to go to VAR for me when everybody in the world saw it was a penalty from Declan Rice, showed how bad it was, and all the decisions that I got wrong. Some people will tell you that Kulusevski earlier should have gotten a penalty because he was stripped. Even though you could argue that Kulusevski should have gone down earlier than he did, I think he felt he went down in installments, and that which wasn't a good watch
Good.
for him to
Yeah.
get the penalty. Yeah, you should have. If you're trickled, if you're being pulled, you go down immediately. You don't go down 2 seconds after. So that possibly worked against him. But all in all, I felt the referee didn't have a good game. But Arsenal, they were professional. I think the Arsenal of the old, you would expect that they will lose this game or they will get pegged back to a
Yeah.
draw, but they stood firmly. Their mentality is improving, and they make sure that they went in the den of the enemies. They went out of there with the full 3 points, which is the mentality I've been talking about. You need to go to places like this of your arch rivals and go there and pick up 3 points if you are really wanting to go for the title, and that's what Arsenal did. So we must commend Arsenal for a fantastic job by Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal players. The Arsenal backline as well. They've been very very solid. So it was a good game from Arsenal.
Absolutely. All right. All right. Please, if you're watching this for the first time, subscribe to the channel, smash the like on the video, and also share this video. Moving on to the last game for the weekend. That's Nottingham Forest versus Man City. Man City, Haaland coming from the bench to score his own goal. What do you want to say in that game?
I mean, it's Forest are fighting for their lives. So when the lineup came out and I saw that they went to the back five, 5-4-1 formation, and I looked at the City lineup and I saw that City had no Phil Foden in there. I was a little bit scared for Man City, as a neutral, as a Chelsea fan. I don't want Arsenal to win the league, so I was a little bit scared that this might be the day that City will drop points, But then, there's one man that once he's in that team for me is Rodri. Then once Rodri is there, you don't be scared. Don't be scared when you see Rodri. He hasn't lost in over 800 minutes of football so far. It's just incredible, incredible. No, is it 800 minutes or 800 hours or something? It's an
800.
incredible figure.
Yeah,
He's got it.
800.
Yeah, in a lot of games, he hasn't lost in so. I'll get the right stats out possibly in our next show. He hasn't lost in a whole lot of games. Rodri 90 minutes. So when you see him, they just keeps everything ticking. Chris Wood lost 2 clear-cut chances, which
Mm.
would have been dangerous for Man City. They had the chances, easy tap-ins, but he didn't. He missed it, and it was the lowest on the rating. He had a 5.9 rating. He had a very, very atrocious performance, very poor for a striker of his standard. So you'd expect, he's a regular Premier League striker. He just should be tucking away those chances, and he missed them. And you trust Man City to punish them for missing chances. Ellen Haaland, who has sat out the last 2 games, came in and from the bench and finished the job from a sublime pass by Kevin De Bruyne. He took it on his left hand and then scored with his right. So City, they will just keep doing their job. I think for me now, it is now down to the wire.
I'm telling you.
For me, the game that will determine everything as far as I'm concerned is the Spurs game. I would expect them
Yeah.
to beat Wolves and the other 2 games. But the Spurs match for me is going to be very difficult because first of all they're going away, and then the Spurs has a habit. They've always had a habit of beating Man City at home. So that
Yeah.
for me is the tricky game.
Mm.
But if Ange Postecoglou still goes with the high line that he usually goes with, then you trust that Man City would do damage with
I'm
Haaland and co.
telling you.
So yeah, that's it for the game against City. They were professional. They did their job, and they went with 2-0. They went out 2-0 winners.
All right, that will take me to this question now that I'm putting on the screen right now. The graphic says, who wins it? Arteta
Ah,
or Pep? Because it's
it's
getting
getting it's getting difficult
this,
to
this is Arsenal
fixtures.
fixtures. They have 3 games to go. Bournemouth.
So Arsenal are the home to
Man
Bournemouth,
U, yeah,
away at Old Trafford to Man U,
yes.
and at home to Everton. Now, in those fixtures, 2 of those teams are on the beach. Bournemouth are on the beach. They are not going to relegate.
They are
They are
not
not
going
going
to,
to finish
yeah.
higher. They're not going to Europe, so their players are on the beach. Everton obviously are on the beach as well. They're not going to relegate. They'll possibly be. They are currently just breathing sign. That finally we've gotten the season to a point where we can rest. So these fixtures favor us, and then Man U is the one there you will look at and say, okay, Man United should not be able to roll over us now at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
That's the one match that Ateta will be marking to. That he will go. He will be telling his players that that's the one more big game that you must show. You must go to Old Trafford and get all 3 points out of there. But I will expect the Man U game to be a little bit more difficult than Spurs. But because of being at Old Trafford, and Man United will not play a high line. They'll block deep and want to hit on the break. So which might not favor Arsenal. But you cannot look past Arsenal in that game because I'm looking at the back. I'm seeing Maguire, Casemiro, likes of Mino, Ericsson. Rice will just run riot in that middle of the park and all the
I'm
guys.
telling
So
you.
I'm not gonna lie. I see Arsenal winning their last 3 games.
Yeah.
Which puts City in a very dangerous position.
Dangerous
It
game.
puts City in a
Look at
position where they can't.
this City's remaining fixtures.
Yes, Man City will be taking on Wolves at home. I expect them to win that. Fulham away, I'd also expect them to win that. So for me, the one I mark, I think, which happens in the same time. I think they will be playing Spurs the same weekend that Arsenal will be playing Man U, if I'm right. And then the last game is Arsenal, Everton, Man City, West Ham. So for me, the penultimate fixture is the fixture that determines this league, as far as I'm concerned. I think Man U will have an opportunity to stop Arsenal, and then Spurs. And the irony of those fixtures. So Man U would stop Arsenal for their dangerous rivals, which is Man City. Spurs would have to beat City to help Arsenal. So I think that is where the narrative of this season will go. So Man U would have to beat
I
Arsenal
tell
to
you.
help City, who they don't want to
Who
help.
do they want to
Then,
help?
then Spurs will have to beat Man City to help Arsenal, who they don't want to help. So that for me, the second to the last game is where the season ends. For me, is where the season ends because if you leave it to the last game, Man City will beat West Ham, Arsenal will beat Everton. So second to the last game for me is where it is. That is where the tie. That is where we are going to know where this title will go. And like I said, it's going to be it's going to be a pivotal weekend. City away at Spurs, Arsenal away at Old Trafford. So for me, that's where to be won and lost. But all in all, I cannot look past it because of the fact that they've done it over and over. But Arsenal have a great chance, even greater than last season, to win this title. Because any little slip, they have a better goal difference. Let's not forget. So any little slip, a draw doesn't even favor City. They can't. They have to be invisible for the last 4 games. Because look at it at 1 point. So a draw doesn't favor them, at all. They have the goal difference 7 goals, between both of them. So the goal difference doesn't look good on Man City. So they must make sure they win all their games because any slip ups and Arsenal might be champions.
All right, this is how far we can go. Prof, thank you so much for joining us on this one.
I appreciate it. Bro. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, people, smash the like on the video. This is how far we can go tonight. I want to say big thank you to Prof and also people joining us. Until the same time when we come back, I want to say this about them. Bye for now.